Welcome to the inaugural episode of Getting to Know Your Developers. We're here getting to know Andres Rivela, a software engineer at EA Burnaby.
Right.
So we've met before, you know,
Yes,
you and I have
yes.
kind of met before. I still don't know exactly. What do you do exactly? I really don't know exactly. So you're a software engineer.
Yeah, I'm a renderer, and really what that is bringing in all the artwork and all that, and getting, you know, the pretty images on the screen in the 3D world, and all the lighting and everything that goes along with that.
You're not actually part of like the artistic team, obviously. You're part of the programming team.
Right,
so
right.
What kind of goes into that? Are you more in the engine side? Are you more on the individual games? Like, are the engines sort of cross game, or how does that work?
we do that. So we do have a render engine that we do use, but it's a little bit of both. So I don't create the art, you know, the models and the texturing and all that stuff, but what we do is create the architecture for, you know, bringing in all the assets and the dispatch layer for efficiently using the CPU to GPU communication. And then we also do dabble a little bit with shaders themselves and the graphical effect stuff that does go in on the GPU. So rendering is really cool in that regard, because you really do have those two facets of things. And the best part about it, at least in my opinion, really is not only is it instant gratification because it's on the screen,
you see it, yeah.
and you see it, and it's clearly obvious if you did something wrong, but it's the performance stuff, because you know, we got usually rendering it goes at 60 hertz, so you have 16 milliseconds to do what you do, and that's the challenge, you know, pushing the hardware as much as possible but staying in those constraints.
Right. So what would be your, so you come into work, you know, at 10, 11, when does Andreas get into work?
Fair enough. Between 9 and 9:30.
9 and 9:30. Yeah. Okay, is that what your boss wants you to say, or is that what actually?
Touche. Well, you know, it changes. Sometimes you have your late nights, and then it's understandable if you come in at 11, right? But generally, I like to get in a little earlier. Like most people, kind of start floating in between 9:30 and 10 regularly. But it's nice to come and get in and kind of read some email and kind of. Where I work at EAC, it's just amazing. I mean, what we have, it's a full, like, campus. You know, we have we have a soccer field, we have outdoor volleyball, outdoor basketball, an indoor gym. Like, it's a full out campus. We have a cafeteria.
So do you guys get to use all this?
Oh,
or
yeah,
like,
yeah.
How does it work? Can you just go out at lunch?
Absolutely encouraged, especially because over at EAC we mostly do sports games. So the more you play sports, really encouraged, and that's why a lot of people are like, oh, these long days at EA, or at least at EA Canada. But yeah, in the middle of the day, I'm playing an hour of basketball. Then on the NBA team, we have a football team, we have a volleyball team, and we have a basketball team.
Are you basketball? What are you?
All three.
All three?
Yeah, why not?
Do you guys? So is it? Do you have your boys? Your
yeah.
Do you guys have a name? What's your name?
Our volleyball team is Dead or Alive.
Nice. Original.
Yeah. Well, it's you know, Alive because NBA Live.
Oh,
You know,
okay,
it's not that clever. I didn't come up with it. Our hockey team, we just put it together, and we're actually going to call it Vancouver Grizzlies. You know,
nice.
Tribute to the old team. And I don't know what our basketball team, we're Team Blue. Their jerseys are blue.
Oh wow, you guys have jerseys. That's hardcore.
Oh, that's on the way.
Yeah.
No, we're not there to work. We're on sports scholarships.
Nice. If you were to look at a game like Alan Wake, for example, you know, that you saw that and then you thought, okay, is that what happens? Do you see that and think, oh, we're gonna put it in the game, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, you definitely draw a lot of inspiration from what you see, is definitely for sure. But it also falls under the genre of the game you're making, right? Sure. Like Alan Wake was all about this really atmosphere, story-driven thing, so they needed that time of day to be really realistic and the weather effects and stuff. And in a stadium sports game, that's just not quite
No, you guys don't have
necessary.
forests and
No, we'd love to. You know, from a rendering point of view, I wish we would do more of that stuff, but no, it just doesn't make sense in the context of the game. So Braid was arguably one of the best games I've ever played.
So you played, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm definitely, I always, if a game is good, it doesn't matter if it's XBLA or this or that. I tend to stay away from my iPhone just because I just don't like using it. But arcade or PSN, I care less. If it's good, I'll play it for sure.
Yeah. Did you play Shadow Complex? Speaking of games that
no,
I
have not picked it up. There's a couple games waiting for me. Limbo and Shadow Complex.
Yeah, those are two graphically that are...
Yeah, and Limbo looks amazing. Like looking at the screenshots, the visual design, I mean, it's quite simple, but really stunning visuals, like really well art directed, just awesome design.
So you were a Waterloo student. When you were a Waterloo student, did you make any like independent sort of smaller games?
Yeah,
yourself?
well, that's I found when I first came to Waterloo, I did, you know, in my first co-op terms when I was looking at the job listings, I saw EA and I'm like, oh, right, people make these games. Right, so right then and there, and I've always been a big gamer, so I was like, okay, this is where I got to get into, and I applied, and I knew I wasn't going to get it, I didn't have anything to offer, but I went and met with the coordinator that handles you know, the relationship between Waterloo and EA, and I asked, you know, usually what the candidates have and what EA is looking for. So I went off and I started putting together little demos, like I bought a couple of OpenGL books and just started messing around. I can't say I ever built something that was truly, you know, breathtaking, but it's
What was the coolest thing you made?
I tried making a little first-person shooter. In my head, it was awesome. In reality, it was programmer art. The tech was good. I felt it was good, and I showed it to my mother, and she said, "It's just boxes flying around, running around."
Ouch, from your mother.
And I was, and the texture I created in MS Paint. It's just a smiley face. And it turns out that when you show someone that doesn't know anything about technology and what it takes to make a game, that doesn't impress them very much. But that really shows so it's funny now that I'm on the other side of the table and I interview potential candidates from school. Really what that says is I care, I'm interested, and I'm going out of my way to learn the skills that perhaps I'm not, you know, school isn't offering right off the bat to get into games.
Just to end this sort of off, I have a couple questions about, you know, maybe people who want to get in your shoes. So what was the thing that you would want to have known before?
You know, it's because I like I said, when I first found out that, or kind of realized that yes, this is what I wanted to do, that's when I did kind of what do I have to do to get there,
right.
and it was this, you know, learning that I wanted to primarily do rendering, but going in and trying to just build these games.
Trying to impress your mom.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still working on that. I can't say enough how much personal drive and motivation and it means in this industry. It really is one that if your heart's not in it, it will eat you alive. You need to put in that work, and you need to have that self-motivation. So
if there's one thing you would tell someone who wants to take your job, what would that advice be?
Well, I'm not going to tell you now.
No. So I hope you enjoyed that interview. I'd like to thank Andreas for coming here and giving us his valuable time to talk about dumb stuff with us.
Thank you for having me. No, I could talk all day.
And hopefully join us next time to get to know your developers.